Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Skip E Lowe Looks at Hollywood. Tonight's guests are Vivian Blaine, and from the National Enquirer, Don Monte. And now, here's your host, Hollywood's one-of-a-kind, Skip E Lowe.
I just got back from New York City, and boy, am I happy to be back in California. New York, that's my favorite place, matter of fact. I was just reading the New York Times. It says 35 Puerto Ricans in a crash. Their bed broke. I just returned from Puerto Rico. I was an exchange welfare case. Anyway, would you believe it's so cold in Manhattan right now, the Statue of Liberty is holding the torch under her skirt. That's how cold it is in New York. But I love New York. Matter of fact, I'm happy to be back here. And, you know, I can't even talk straight. Matter of fact, it's time to take a butch pill. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to our show this evening. We have a great show. You know we have the senior editor from the West Coast editor, ladies and gentlemen, from the National Enquirer, Don Monte. Let's get it. And also we have a wonderful screen and stage, and she is internationally known. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Miss Vivian Blaine. God, how are you folks doing? I just got back from New York, and it was cold.
How cold?
Very cold. And how have you been?
Very well,
thank you. What have you
been
doing with yourself?
Busy, hanging in there.
You certainly are. You are a busy lady, and you just keep busy.
Well, I find that work begets work, and I love to work, and I'm a workaholic, and so there's nothing else that I would prefer doing anyway.
Right. You love the theater, though.
Oh, I love the theater.
The theater, yeah. Better than motion pictures.
Well, the rewards are more instantaneous, let's put it that way, but I wouldn't mind a film here and there.
You just did a show right here in...
At the Zephyr.
Theater. When was that?
That was Family Jokes. It was an original play, and we were there for 6 weeks. And it was equity waiver, and you know, you really have to love it when you work for nothing.
Exactly.
Let's put it that way.
Right. But you're such a great performer on that stage. And I haven't seen you on stage in a long time because I've been so busy doing my other things.
Yes, well.
But I was talking to Mimi Hines last night, and she said she saw you at that theater, and you were wonderful. She said you were just wonderful.
You.
Don, did you see her there?
I certainly did.
You did, huh?
And something else that she did just last year at the Pantage is called Star Time.
I did see
where
that.
She
Where was I?
show.
Of course I was.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I went with Bobby Morse. That's right. You were there.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Do forgive me, Vivian.
That's quite all right.
I did see her there.
It's Christmas time, otherwise you wouldn't be
It was
forgetting.
all
sorry,
that
darling.
star magic on that stage. And it was,
Yes,
Yeah, it
yes,
was
Hildegard.
It was
and
special.
I'm sorry, Vivian. You were. It was wonderful. I get confused with you and Janet Blair. Why do I do that?
I don't know.
Why?
Put together, standing next to each other, we don't look alike.
No.
But somehow or other, when we're apart, I just loved you in South Pacific,
Yeah.
and she always gets, you were wonderful in Guys and
You
Dolls.
do get that.
So thank God we like each other, otherwise it would be a terrible
Guys
situation.
and Dolls. That was a great motion picture. You did that on Broadway.
Yes, the original.
Original, And how was Sinatra to work for?
Oh, he was wonderful. You know, it was a very strange thing. Everybody kept waiting for the balloon to go up between Marlon Brando and Sinatra because they're enormous stars and have enormous egos too. But nothing happened. It was just peace and quiet, and I think a lot of people, when the picture was over, just crept away very disappointed.
Do you believe Brando has an enormous ego? I mean, he lives
I
up...
don't know.
He's a wonderful guy. He lives up in Mulholland, all alone, doesn't go out anywhere. Is that right, Don?
He lives not far from my house.
He's in town.
He ventures out every now and then, but at strange hours of the day and
You're
night.
you're after those little stories, aren't you?
Well, I live up in that area, and one can't help noticing one jogging, can one?
Tell me, what's the National Enquirer really all about? What is it really all about?
Well, Skip, what it's about basically is entertainment. We are the largest selling publication in the United States. There's something in it for everybody. It's informative, it's entertainment, as a matter of fact, I get letters from teachers, or they forward letters to me from teachers all over the country who use it in some of their lessons. Because there are how-to pieces, there are political pieces, there are medical pieces, not just entertainment, but I must say we do have more entertainment news now than we ever have had before in our 25-year history. And, of course, we're selling more papers now than we ever have before as well.
How long have you been working for the National Enquirer?
In eternity, forever. When I went to work for the Enquirer, there was probably a little over 1.5 million a week circulation, and now it's past 6.5 million and 33 million readers a week.
You're the senior editor for the West Coast.
Celebrity, yes.
Celebrity editor.
Gossip, yes.
That's what I'm going to. It's gossip.
The magic word.
Gossip. Yes. Tell me, how do you get your stories? How do you
let me
get your
explain
stories?
something to you. Gossip, by virtue of its own definition, is hearsay.
Right.
We are not out to maim anyone. We are not out to hurt anyone. We happen to be very observant. We are very well trained to do what we do. So if a celebrity like Miss
Vivian,
Blaine or someone else is out at a party and does something silly or funny, not to hurt them.
Yes, I understand.
If I don't report
You believe
that,
the public should know this.
hold it. If I don't report that, there are 75 or 80 other people in that room. Somebody's going to drop a dime and call the Times, the Examiner, and it may not come out quite as nice because this is an elegant lady. A situation is not always the way it looks, but then there are those that are. And I believe that a star should act like a star in public because their public
She
is
deserves
around them and constantly watching.
To the public, right.
And this is a classic example of a
Yes,
star.
yes, she is a star.
I thank you, I thank you.
But unfortunately, not everybody is from the old school, like Miss Blaine.
Yeah, she is from the old school. She started at 20th?
Well,
at,
see, there are very few stars
Yes.
left today, Skip. There are what we call personalities, as opposed to stars.
Yes, yes,
She's one of the last of these stars.
yes. I agree.
You know, and
Yes, and she's still a star today. She still works.
Yes.
She's out there working. As a matter of fact, she just cut an album,
it's a wonderful
and
one.
it's a wonderful album, huh?
Yeah, well, you want to know the truth? I am not a fan of mine, and I have yet to hear the album.
You haven't?
I have not heard it.
I was there the night they recorded it at the Gardenia Club.
It was at the Gardenia? You
And
recorded
yes,
this?
Yeah.
And I must tell you that that whole club that night was filled to capacity. There was not breathing room. And Vivian came on that stage, and for an hour and a half, you could hear a pin drop. People jumped to their feet because she did her whole song bag, you know, Guys and Dolls,
Right.
ballads, pop tunes. She does it
You
all.
make me
and she
feel
does
so
it all.
wonderful.
Well, can you tell I'm a fan? Beside a good friend. We've known each other for years. We go back a long way, but this is truly an artist. And there's very few of those left where you can go into a club and sit down and be totally captivated
Yes,
for an hour
yes,
and a half.
yes, yes. And
know?
she was at the Gardenia, that's for our New York audiences, Don and Vivian.
very
that
smart
is a
supper club here in
small,
town, yes.
very smart supper club on Santa Monica Boulevard here in West Hollywood.
And I only hope it's the start of the old supper club.
Wouldn't that be marvelous?
We don't have them in
No.
Hollywood.
There's very
We
few
really
places.
don't.
When you think to go out of an evening after dinner,
Yes.
where do you go? What do you do?
Thank you. Where do you go?
See, there was a time we had Ciro's and the Macombo, and
I
we
had
the Chocolate's
Trocadero.
Club,
Unbelievable.
Trocadero, and it went on and on and on.
Yeah.
But this is about as close as we've come now, and they're starting the trend back. As a matter of fact, even Kathy Gallagher's has just initiated a room
Upstairs,
above,
small.
which is a tiny little room,
Tiny.
and they're having name stars, and they've done very well. It's only been open a short time.
I
but
saw
maybe-
Maureen Murphy there
Yeah.
a couple days ago.
And Maxine Andrews has played there, but it's the start of a trend, I hope,
Yes.
that's going to bring
Yes.
back a place where these stars can perform.
That's what I'm
you know?
trying to do
would
with
be
my
lovely.
showcase. I have a room now I'm doing at Teddy's on Melrose every Tuesday, which is tonight. I'm going to do there tonight. I have people like Robert Walker Jr.'s daughter tonight. She brings on Jennifer Jones. People come and see. It's a lovely little room. It's very small. It's across the street, Montmisson. Melrose. It's a very nice room, and I have 20 acts, singers and comedians. And every Tuesday night, I present the showcase. It's very nice. And we don't have supper clubs, though, real supper
No.
clubs. The only one we have is La Cage aux Folles, which is, that's the only...
That's more the
It's-
nightclub as opposed to an intimate supper club.
Yeah.
There's a place in New York that sticks in my mind, and I used to go to years ago, and it's still there, still operating, called the Living Room.
Yes, yes.
And what's so beautiful, it's on 2nd Avenue.
Yes, right.
It's very intimate.
I know the room.
A star like Vivian can communicate closely with her public, you know, and they love that. They
Yes.
love that, as opposed to a large, huge nightclub where there's no
A la
intimacy.
Vegas, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
exactly.
can't touch them,
Yeah.
really.
Do you like to perform in nightclubs, Vivian?
While I'm on stage, I do. I find it rather a lonely life. If you're doing 2 shows a night, in between, what do you do? You know, it's
Right.
it's
Right.
one of
It's a
those
hotel
things.
room
Yeah.
all day, yeah.
Yeah. But again, when I'm on stage, it makes up
I
for it.
want to talk about your album.
Okay.
This is a beautiful picture of you in the back of the cover. It's called Vivian Blaine for You. This is the front cover. It's a beautiful picture, and this is the back. Isn't it a lovely picture? What's the album all about, Vivian? Actually, it's...
well, it's a lot of the nightclub act.
Your songs that you have done in all the years. And you are going to donate
all the proceeds go to AIDS.
To the AIDS.
AIDS.
Why are you doing that?
Well, just about the time that I was asked to do the album, I had been aware of AIDS, of course, but within a week, 2 of my friends passed away from AIDS. And I thought to myself, dear God. And my husband said, well, why don't we donate, you're going to do the album anyway, why don't we donate all of the proceeds to AIDS? And of course,
That's great. They need a lot of money. I understand they're getting a lot of money from the government now.
Oh, it's so slow. It's slow as molasses.
It is, really?
You know it. And then so much of that, they're getting some, but certainly not
enough.
But,
not enough.
No. It's, there's never enough of anything for anything. But it's really very slow.
Let me interrupt a second. I must say that this is something else that Vivian is very hesitant to bring up. But she is the first internationally known star who stepped forward in the name of AIDS, openly, and said, let's raise some money for these people.
Well, that's right. She is.
Well, somebody has to.
Yes,
somebody had to start it, you know.
That's wonderful.
I just
We applaud you. That's great. Thank you, Don, for bringing that up. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
But somebody has to start it, and I just wish there were a lot of people who were following in my footsteps, or at least aiding me a little bit for AIDS. But that will come.
Yes, that's very nice. Don, tell me, the National Enquirer, sometimes the National Enquirer, do you feel they're unfair for certain people and they're not for certain others?
Not at all.
No, they're not?
Not at all, because you see, you have to know the background of a story. We don't just sit down at our desks and write these stories. The stories that are on that front page have been in the making, have been in the works for possibly 2 to 3 weeks. We have teams of reporters, teams of 5 or 6 reporters, specialists in their field, who work hand in hand, contacting people who deal with those people, contacting people who work with those people, sometimes who are related to those people. Everything is first-hand information.
I see.
It's unfortunate that the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, and the Herald Examiner bury what they call corrections in Section 3, page 49, but they do it daily. And so do the trade papers. Nobody is infallible. We do the best we can with the time allotted to give the readers what they want. We have polls. People write letters. This is who we want to read about.
Yes.
So we make a special effort to go out, dig into these people's personalities, their careers. We snap them coming out of parties and going to functions. We talk with them when we can.
Yes.
When we can't, we talk to their representatives. We're not out to hurt anybody.
What is a celebrity to you as a writer, as a celebrity writer?
A celebrity to me, well, you see, again, every show that I do, this question comes up, but you have to understand, today, it's a package deal. If you're going to accept, for instance, a person gets a television series, a starring role in a television series, it's conservative to estimate that that person will make over $1 million a year in that leading role in a regular television series. Now, if you are willing, as a personality, and notice I don't say star because here sits a star. This is a personality we're talking about. If you're willing to accept that $1 million or more in salary, it's a package deal. With that comes publicity. Some of it good, some of it bad. Not everybody's going to write a puff piece on you.
Right, I agree.
If you go out and you create a scene in a restaurant, or you are drunk in public, or you give a waiter a hard time in another restaurant, or whatever the case may be. There are people all over this town. You know how tiny this community is.
Oh, my dear. You think it and they know it.
There are bartenders. That people see this, people hear this, they tell a friend tells another friend, and then I get the phone call.
That's where you get your stories?
Exactly.
That's where you get your stories.
These
you don't go to
things all
clubs. You don't go to clubs?
I do every night, yes.
You do?
I go to clubs, I go to
Get it
restaurants.
from waiters and bartenders?
No, most of the time, yes, that's true in some cases, but most of the time I'm there and see it myself.
I see.
Because I cover this town like a fine-tooth comb 7 nights a week.
You're out every night?
Every night.
God.
I'm out the door at 7 o'clock in the evening, and I'm not back till 2 or 2:30 in the morning. Now, one evening, Miss Blaine and her husband went out to dinner with me, and I said, I'll tell you what, let's do the run a little bit. Remember that? We went out to
Yes, it was
Audra.
wonderful.
We had a great deal
Did
of
you go
fun.
along?
We ran
I had a
into
lovely
other
time.
celebrities. We ran into celebrities. We hit 5 or 6 different places, but I do this on a nightly basis. And if something presents itself during that course of the evening, that's what we write about. We eyewitnessed it, we saw it, but we don't go looking for people to write bad things about. This is not so. A star acts like a star, in public,
True.
off screen, when there are other people around. But the Enquirer is entertainment. We
Yes.
want to give the readers what they want. We have 33 million readers.
Yes, that's a
They
lot.
tell us what they want. We don't dictate what we're going to write.
Why is your paper such a big hit with everybody? Everybody loves that paper.
Word of mouth.
I don't know if they
guess.
love it, but they buy it.
Exactly. I'll
That's
tell you,
exact-
there are some
yeah, I don't
producers
know
who
if
we
they-
all know and love in this town, and they're big. We're not talking little producers here. We're talking big fish.
Right.
And I've known them on a social basis or on a personal level for over the years. I've gone into their offices, and I'll see the Enquirer sticking out of a drawer or under a script. Now, they know who I work for, and I know that they read it. And never the twain shall meet. See?
Yes, yes.
But everybody reads it. Whether it's under the dryer, or while you're getting your hair cut, or
Yes.
while you're having a massage, or while you're waiting for your car to get washed.
Yes.
I've even seen people in the market reading it on the line
In the
and
lines.
not put it back in the rack, actually pay for
Pay
it.
for it. How nice. Yeah. Vivian, tell me something. I'd like to know. What was your first Broadway show?
Guys and dolls.
Oh, it was. That was your first Broadway show.
And where do you go from there? You know, when you achieve
You were a
perfection
star
immediately.
right from the
it's,
beginning. God, you star right from the beginning. And then how did you get into motion pictures?
well, I had been at 20th Century Fox before Guys and Dolls.
You were as a stock player or
yeah,
doing
yeah.
stock playing and
Yeah.
stuff. I see.
And I did films like State Fair and Three Little Girls in Blue
Right, State
and
Fair.
a few others.
Who's in State Fair? I can't remember.
Dick Haynes,
right?
Jeannie Crane, Dana Andrews, Faye Bainter, Charlie Winninger, Donald Meek.
Oh,
I mean, where
yeah.
do you
Yeah.
find?
Right.
Where do
You
you
don't
find?
find stars today. There aren't
No.
any. The kids today just don't. They don't groom them to be stars
Their
today, do they?
personalities, that's what
It's
I mean.
pers-
Exactly.
Personalities.
By comparison.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it
That's
is.
all
yeah.
they are, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
What's really unfortunate is, I think Vivian can bear this out. Back in the days when she was under contract to Fox, they had what they called the studio system.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Fox had it. All the major studios had
They
it.
trained
They
them.
would
They
they
groomed
would
them.
find somebody or take them, groom them,
Yeah.
give them fencing lessons, dancing
Yes,
lessons,
yes.
singing lessons, elocution lessons, French lessons, you name it.
Yes.
And they groomed them
Of
for
course.
stardom.
Yeah.
But look at the result.
Yes. No, they
As
don't have
compared
that.
to today.
Yeah.
There's nobody that will take that time anymore. It's too costly. It's too prohibitive.
That's exactly it. And it's sad because they don't have what I would call a backup.
Right.
There's no
Or a
cushion
training
to
ground.
sit
There's
on.
no place
Training,
where somebody
yes.
who's really talented, who has the makings to be a star,
Yes. Yes.
can go and show it, or show it off, or
Yes.
be groomed anymore.
Well, what I'm talking about is the cushion of knowledge.
Right.
And they have, they might be around for a while, but because of the fact that they don't have that cushion, they have nothing to draw upon,
Draw
no
upon.
resources.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
exactly.
And so they're here today and gone tomorrow. In the meantime, they have made that $1 million a year,
Yes,
which
yes.
is not a bad idea, which certainly you never made when you were under contract to the studios. But
But I don't think the money's that important. There's a lady out there is one of the greatest actresses to me in the world, and her name is Kim Stanley. And to me, she is teaching here in Hollywood
yes.
now.
Yes. In Hollywood?
In
I
Hollywood.
knew she was someplace in the Middle West for a
No,
while.
she's
wasn't
here.
she?
She's back. She's here.
Since,
Interesting.
And she's teaching, and she, to me, is one of the greatest American actresses. Her and
Yes,
Julie
she
Harris.
is.
I,
Yes.
just,
Oh,
I
yeah.
adore these people,
Yes.
and she doesn't care about money. Money's not that important. It's just that work, their love, and that's what I find about you too. And all the great stars of that era, really, they just keep working, and because they have that certain thing within themselves. Kim Stanley was. Oh, I just adore her.
Absolutely wonderful.
The thing with
Absolutely.
Jessica Lange.
Yeah,
Frances
she did.
Farmer.
Yeah, Frances
Right,
Farmer.
exactly.
Yes, yeah, that was their last movie.
was
Yeah,
marvelous, huh?
Yeah, The Goddess was great. With,
Yes,
she did.
Dostoevsky.
Yeah, right. But Vivian, so you are right now. What's your plans right now for the future? So busy.
Well, right now it's Christmas time, and this is, there's nothing else to think
Are you
about.
going to spend Christmas here
Yes.
in Hollywood? You live in the Valley, huh?
Yes?
Yes.
Van Nuys.
Van Nuys. You're a Valley lady.
Yes, I'm a Valley lady,
is-
loving it.
Do you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Do people in the Valley talk different, like they say they do?
I should say not.
They don't?
No.
Well, you're not a Valley lady. You're a whirly lady. John, you live in Hollywood, huh?
Yes, I do, in the hills.
Uh-huh.
Right
It's a
over there.
lovely home.
Yes. Don, I met Don through a lovely lady by the name of Judy Canova, who just passed away.
I know.
She was a dear friend of both of ours.
Oh, really? Do you know
both
Judy?
Very, very close.
Oh, I didn't know
friends,
that.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Judy, I just adored her. She was my bingo partner, and we used to go every Tuesday night to play bingo.
My mother, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
your mother. Yes,
Yeah.
that's how I met you.
Yeah.
And I adored
We
bingo.
miss her a lot.
And Judy and I used to go, and she was a wonderful lady. Yeah. Did you go
Yes, she
to
was.
her service?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Oh,
were
yes,
there, Don.
we
You
did.
were there.
Oh, absolutely.
I see.
Matter of fact, Judy and myself and Vivian and Stuart, her husband, used to go out in a foursome, and we had the best laughs.
Yeah.
But Don, I want to ask you something. This is very important to me.
Yeah.
Why in the East Coast they gave Judy Canova a big write-ups, all of the papers,
They did
and
it
here,
too? Oh, they did?
no, didn't do it here. Don, they just gave her
What
very
they did,
little
no,
in West
what they
Coast.
did is
Why?
they jumped the gun because Judy died on Friday, August 5th.
That's
and
right.
all
The
the big
weekends.
stories.
You don't die on weekends. Is that it?
Unfortunately, it's sad.
Oh, dear Lord.
Ridiculous.
I mean, if we knew how to do this, we could time it better. But I mean, not to be funny, but
Yes.
she died on Friday at 3:30 or 2:30. I'm sorry. And the biggest stories hit the next day on Saturday.
Right.
But Saturday, for some reason, in this town, is
People
not
don't
a,
read papers.
it's not a paper buying day, I suppose.
Yes.
You know, Sunday is, and Monday was already history. You know.
She was #1 comedian, a woman comedian. I think she was.
And you know, the
brilliant.
funny thing is, like, I think back talking about Judy now, may she rest in peace. We'd be out at a function or a party or an awards dinner, and a fan would come rushing up to her and say, "I don't want this to sound funny, but I thought you were dead, and I'm so glad you're not." And they always confused her for some reason with Cass Daly.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
Do you remember
Yes,
Cass
they do.
Daly?
Yeah.
Well, actually, a number of years ago, there was an item in the paper saying that she had passed away. So lo and behold, we were out here, and we were at some kind of a function, and I turned around, and there is, well, all of a sudden now I'm meeting Judy Canova, and I tell you something, Mike, I just flipped over, and I thank God I had the presence of mind not to say it. But it was quite an experience.
But
Quite
you'd be
an
amazed how many times we were out and how many people did. I mean, they would think nothing of it and then realize what they said after they said it. you
Yes,
see.
yes.
But they did confuse her a great deal with Cass Daly.
That's true.
Vivian,
Yes.
tell me, did you find, I'm going to ask a stupid question, but Hollywood has changed a lot in your days. I mean, the system, the people,
Well, the people.
the boulevard, naturally. I mean,
Yeah, no,
forget the boulevard.
it's changed a lot. To me, there's no glamour.
There is no glamour.
There
That's-
really
yeah,
isn't.
Not in Hollywood.
No,
Yeah.
not anymore. It's a
It's
shame.
sad.
It's a
They should
shame.
just clean up Hollywood Boulevard and because the tourists come here and they see this, and this is...
I know. I remember the first time I saw Hollywood and Vine. When I made my screen test in New York and signed the contract in New York, and then came out here with my mother. And the first time I saw Hollywood and Vine, I thought to myself, Mamma mia! I don't know what I expected. Streets paved with gold. I expected to see all of the stars walking around in the white suits.
That's what everybody expects.
Everything, and it's just even then it was a mess,
Yeah.
and that was 100 years ago.
Yes. John, do you,
But
you,
it's
what
really
do you think? You
something
find
now.
it...
Well, I'll tell you what really tears me apart are seeing the changes and not being able to preserve what little that's left.
Yeah.
For instance, I think Vivian and Stuart are very aware of this. About 3 years ago with the Brown Derby?
On this,
We fought tooth and nail. She was running around signing petitions, and Stuart was getting names, and I was getting, and people were just making phone calls like crazy. They were going to build, what was it, a high-rise or something on that corner. The original Brown Derby.
On
is
Wilshire
shaped like
Boulevard.
that.
Right,
exactly.
of course.
Right across from the Ambassador.
Right.
Well, as it turns out, here we are 3 years or 3.5 years later.
Still not there.
The Derby part is still left, but the whole beautiful restaurant that made history in Hollywood is gone, and there's no high-rise
Yes,
there.
yes, 3 years after. Never
Why?
forget-
Isn't
why?
that stupid?
Isn't there somebody?
Isn't
And then the other day, I went to this auction at Schwab's, and people are standing there crying tears who've been going there for 50 years.
Yes.
Edith Fellows, to be named
Yes.
one. All kinds of, every familiar character face you've ever seen, standing there crying tears because there was no way to save something that should have been designated a landmark.
Why did they close Schwab's down? You should know.
It was some kind of a
Family?
family
Well, that's-
problem. And one of
that's-
the brothers died, and there's different stories floating around, but
But they're going to put a big building up there. That's what I heard.
this is what they say. But then the same thing happened 3 years ago
But
as
the
well
Derby.
on Hollywood Boulevard with a place that was called Peyton Hall. If you knew the stars who lived there over the years. 3 years later, it's still a vacant lot. you know, there's not much left. Let's keep what little bit we have
Wouldn't
left.
that be marvelous?
True, yes. Vivian, where do people buy this album now? Is it out?
Oh.
Is it out right now? I'd like
Yes, it has just come out, about a month late, but
A month late.
It's worth
I
waiting
wanna get
for, I
mine.
hope. In Chicago, the Rose Records. In New York, Doubleday, J&R Music World, Tower Records, Colony Records.
Tower.
And out here, in San Francisco, I'm sorry, Tower Records and Record House. And out here, in L.A., it's Tower Records and Aaron Records.
Okay, fine. I want on Tower Records and on the Strip out here.
That's the most marvelous
And
picture.
please,
Yeah, isn't it a great
please,
picture?
for God's
Please,
sake,
let's
tell your friends.
Buy
tell your
this
friends.
album, please. We need it for
AIDS.
all
Oh.
the money's going to AIDS. Please buy this album. This is a beautiful picture of Miss Vivian Blaine and wonderful songs by Miss Vivian Blaine. All her beautiful songs. Beautiful
Thank
picture.
you.
Who did the picture, Vivian?
Funnily
Lovely.
enough, done by a priest.
Really? By a priest?
Absolutely. He,
Isn't that amazing?
yeah, he's a wonderful, he's a very young man, he's 33. And well, I won't go into it, but this is the second photographer that I went to, because the first one that we went to wanted to be paid.
Yes.
And of course, this was all done, the record, everything, everybody connected with it did it for nothing.
Oh, great. That's great.
So, with the
They all
exception of the
donated.
musicians, as
Yes,
is always
naturally.
the case, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, we came upon this man, and whatever he's won awards for his photography, and whatever pardon me, whatever monies he derives go into his church. So I mean, it's not
That's
a
beautiful.
it's not a
Vivian, I really want to thank you.
A great pleasure.
And believe me, all that money, ladies and gentlemen out there, buy Miss Vivian Blaine's album
Thank
and help
you,
the AIDS. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Vivian.
Happy
John,
holidays.
thank you, darling.
Thank you for
John,
having me.
thank you for
Enjoyed
coming
it
on.
very much.
I'm looking better at National Enquirer.
You should.
brought it out.
You should.
You look-
We're there for a reason.
Yes.
To entertain and
You
to
brought it
help
out,
our-
Don.
Expose
Thank
our
you.
friends like
Yes, thank you very
Miss
much for
Blaine,
coming,
you know, and give
okay?
them publicity.
Ladies and
very
gentlemen,
good to me.
Thank you.
I want to say, be kind to others. This is Skip E Lowe from Hollywood. Thank you. Thank you. Just sit here, the crowds are yelling. Thank you. That was good. I'm glad you read all those names out there.